In this video, I'm gonna do some of the best Swiss security practices. Um, the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna configure all user ports as access ports, and unless that they will be for voice over IP, and we don't gonna use the default VLAN one because if you're a hacker, that's that's the first VLAN that you're gonna try to get into because it's the default VLAN. All ports when we buy a switch are by default in VLAN 1, and we're gonna use this switch to show these practices. First we're gonna enable, let's change the name, go to conft hostname sw1, oh, the host name sw1. Okay, now we're gonna change the VLAN for all ports, and you're gonna put interface range fast 0/1 to 24, and now I'm gonna put switch port tab mode, and we're gonna put an access port. We're gonna make them all ports to be access port because they're trunk ports that we're gonna configure them later on in the movie, and the switch ports, and all the switch port we're gonna make them be part of VLAN 22 by because I didn't create VLAN 22 before I did this. Right away it went and created for me, and the other thing that we're gonna do is um we're gonna disable CDP, enable port fast, and enable BPDU guard on all access port. First we're gonna put no CDP enable, no CDP enable, and we're gonna put a spanning dash 3 port fast, and now we're gonna put the Spanish 3 BPDU guard. Let's see that one right here, BPDU guard, BPDU guard. Uh, let's make sure that this is what we're gonna put. We're gonna put enable. Okay, and now we're gonna put shutdown. Good. Okay, now I'm gonna click Control Z to get out of here, and what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna configure the port security and just enable the ports that we're gonna use, and we're going to integer interface range range fast internet 0/1 to 4. Oh, we need to go to configure terminal interface fast internet slash 124 interface range 0 slash. Okay, there I did it right. And now we're gonna enable switchboard. We're gonna enable port security. Port security. Now I'm gonna do switchboard, port security, and what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna put maximum. I'm gonna use maximum now. Maximum of 2. And I'm gonna use the switchboard again, port security, and I'm gonna do violation now. Violation and shutdown. And now I'm gonna put the switchboard, port security, and the C MAC address sticky. And again, go to switchboard, port security, aging time of 120. Let's go again. Mm, mm, conf gonna put exit. Let's go again to interface range for internet 0 slash 24 and go to see if now gonna work. Nope. Well, we're gonna do the next one is it's gonna be the gonna do the storm control. Broadcast level 75.5, and also the storm control. We're gonna use action shutdown. Let's see, series dash 1 dash 4. For what I see, we don't have access the shutdown command, and we don't have access to the um, agent command either in packet tracer. But security has been enabled in these ports, and now I can do a Control Z and use some of the show commands to see what um, to see the configuration of the switch. First of all, we're gonna do show VLAN, and let's go up. We see that all the ports are by default VLAN 22 now, and they're active, and they're no more in VLAN 1 how they used to be. VLAN 1 we have by default gigabyte 1 and gigabyte 2, but we have all the other ports are in VLAN 22. We can also change like these ports right here to different VLANs. The configuration are going to be the same, and or these ports right here in but they they gonna be in different VLANs. Like if we want to make different um networks inside the switch, it would be like if we have if this computer right here PC3 is in VLAN 10 and this one is in VLAN 5, if like we will have two other switches here. That means that for them to be able to communicate to each other, we will need to use a router to do swi some switch routing commands, and in the router to be able to make these two computers in different VLANs to communicate to each other. This is very good for security. It's also very good like if we want to have different levels of security, and if we want to separate um, um, the users in the network. For example, if we have the IT department in VLAN 10 that has access to everything, and we have in VLAN 5 here the accounting department that just have access to a few things like to go to the internet and maybe just to the server in port 80, and that's it. But the IT department here will have access to these computers here and to everything else. And we can do that if we separate the computers in different VLANs, and we also do some if we would do some of the um some access list, if we configure access list in the router, and we like that we put the different levels of security. Access list is super one of the most important things when we after we configure the security in the switch and in the router to be able to have security inside the network. And in this movie, I don't wanna do access list. It's just the switch. But now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to configure the trunks, because we need to configure the different trunks. We manually going to configure the trunks, and we don't wanna use the default VLAN 1. That means we're gonna change the gigabyte 1 and 2. Those are gonna be our trunks in this switch to a different VLAN, and there um, we're going to configure them to be trunks. A trunk is very important. What a trunk does is um, like if these two computers are in different VLANs, a trunk, let's say that these two interfaces should be trunk right here, are gonna allow the different VLANs to pass through just one interface. If not, if we wouldn't have trunk configured, then just would need they would use each one of them one interface. Like for example, if interface 1 would be a trunk, then we use interface 5 to send all the information from VLAN 1, and then VLAN 2 here needs another interface to change to send all his information. But if we configure just one interface to be trunk, it's like we have a, an interface that can let all the other um, interfaces, all the other VLANs go through just one interface, and that's something very important, and that save space in the switch. Okay, I'm gonna first of all I'm gonna enable. Well, it's enable. Going to go to conft, and I'm gonna create a VLAN 10. I'm gonna call a name Tron VLAN. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go interface range. You got 1/1 to 2, and I'm going to make them switchboard mode trunk. Now they're trunks. Switchboard. I just hitting up arrow. Well, let's see here. Switchboard trunk. Allow it. VLAN 20 dash 30. We're gonna do it one by one, like VLANs that we're gonna create. 40, and then we're gonna create it like a VLAN 99 to be our management VLAN, and also 10. We're just gonna put 1 to 99. That's fast. Forgot to put the N here. Let's make it right in case that makes a difference. Okay, now they allowed all the other VLANs, but we're gonna put them in also wishboard and we're gonna change them to be part of VLAN. Okay, switchboard trunk, and we're gonna put them to be VLAN 10. Mm, switchboard, switchboard Hmm. Let's put them to be, let's use the native then. And how we're gonna do is we put native tab VLAN 10. Yeah, that's how it is. And switchboard, no negotiable. And we also want to put no CDP and no CDP enable. And we also gonna configure the spanning tree guard root. Spanning tree